Hi there. This message is for pastors, especially new pastors. I get this email from Sermon at Central. Better Preaching Update sent to me to my email by Matt from sermoncentral.com. And this is today's featured article about top 10 mistakes made by a rookie pastor, contributed by Josh Tandy. And he said, I'm surprised that I survived my first year of ministry, and honestly, I don't know if I deserve to be kept around. Working in a church or any kind of ministry is tricky. Why? Because there are plenty of pitfalls for which a theological education doesn't prepare you. Here are my top 10 goofs in my first year of ministry. Now, this is only from one of the denominations, one of theological educations. Now, let's continue reading this one and learn something more. Perhaps you can learn something out of this. And let us summarize first. Now, one reason is not asking why. Second reason is expecting calm. Next is lack of boundaries. I don't know what it means. Four is treating ministry like a job. And five, hiding from critique. 6. Avoiding conflict. 7 is not being clear. 8 is ignoring accountability. 9 is trashing your predecessor. And 10, stop learning names. Now let us go into detail. This is the author. Josh Tandy is a pastor of students and groups in Nobles, Indiana. His experience in ministry led him to create Rookie Pastor, an online community with local gatherings that exists to support and encourage young leaders in the church. So what does it mean not asking why? There's no better time to ask questions than in the first year. So you can play dumb and question things you don't think are working, thus forcing other people to state the absurdity out loud. Alright? Through asking these why questions, you can reach some sense of clarity. That first year is the honeymoon period when you can learn and are more free to probe the true nature of the community. You see that one? It's a honeymoon stage. The first year is the honeymoon stage. I reached a point where I thought I understood after a few months. And it wasn't until a friend asked some simple why questions that I realized I didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. You see that? Now, this is one mistake among rookie pastors. Second, expecting calm. I don't care what you have seen or heard. Okay? Ministry is not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. I experience it. Conflict happens. I experience it. People die, and sometimes people think you're always available even when you are just trying to cut the grass or watch football. I don't watch football. Alright? I don't have time for that. For 5 years, I have tried to find a weekly routine, and maybe I am undisciplined, but I still haven't found it. Well, that's him, not me. Well, the shock I experienced when volunteers quit and staff members moved on was almost worse than the actual event. It means that the pastoral ministry is not always calm. You do not expect calmness because there's always problem. There are a lot of problems, and you should be aware of that, and you should not be surprised with those problems. Number 3, lack of boundaries. What does it mean? Going into ministry, I had this idealized view of life that involved being a part of people's lives and more or less solving their problems. Okay? In pursuing that misguided notion, family and personal time got pushed to the margin. You see? So it means family time is very important. This only works for a while before you start gaining weight and dreading going into the office. I got married and started in ministry at about the same time. 3 days after we got back from our honeymoon, you know what happened? Three teenagers showed up at our front door and announced. In hindsight, I shouldn't have invited them in. You see that? It means there is a boundary for your personal life between you as a pastor and them. If you don't make that boundary, you will be in trouble. Number four, treating ministry like a job. What does it mean? It is a job, okay, because you are an employee of an organization. But the moment it primarily becomes work and not service, staff meetings got boring and you wonder why your coworkers don't work as hard as you do, okay? So never forget that you get to do this. You are getting paid to do things that you should be doing anyway. Now, there will be a time and a place to think of it as a job, okay? Like during vacation Bible school week when you have to dress up and let 5-year-olds throw pasta at your face. But it's more than that. Pastoral ministry is a calling. Okay, we've been trained that one in college. So we know this already. It is not like a job like every people go to the office 8 hours a day and treat like a job and go home like, it's a job. In here it's a calling. Even after job hours, working hours, you still work for other people and for God and even for your family. So it's not about an 8-hour job. Okay, now the fifth problem here that rookie pastors make is hiding from critique. What does it mean? Despite what your grandmother told you that first time you preach, you aren't very good at what you're doing, all right? Now, thing is, everybody's bad at their job in the first year, okay? Now, you are also really fragile during that first year. So any critique feels like a personal attack, okay? And you really shouldn't be that mad at the lady with blue hair. Maybe the students did trash the church van or the music is too loud. You shouldn't consider that when you hide from critique. When you hide, close your office door or gone home for lunch so you could cry while you watch Deadliest Catch. Guilty of both, right? It means do not hide from critique. It's really like that. Criticism is normal, all right? Don't be personally affected. It's always like that. Now, 6, avoiding conflict. Now, according to this author, I ended number 5 sharing some of my more embarrassing ways I dealt with critique. And I have to say that I have a similar track record with conflict. People who enjoy conflict resolution need to be medicated, okay? Or at least easily identifiable. There is nothing worse than someone who is going through their I'm going to tell you all the things that annoy me about you because I need to be honest face. All right? Having some tact is always a good thing. So in avoiding conflict, always be tactful. Some people are not tactful, but always be tactful. So regardless of what the other person does, there comes a moment when you need to have a talk with them. It is awkward, difficult, and painful, but the only thing that will make the situation worse is putting the conversation off. It means do not put the conversation off. Do not avoid conflict. You face conflict. Now, if your tendency in your culture, and maybe in your leadership, is to avoid conflict and you move the pastor right away from his position without facing the conflict, this is not the way to do. All right? Do not avoid conflict. Face the conflict tactfully. This is what it means in here. Next, number 7, not being clear. What does it mean? You are fresh out of college leading a team of people who are older and more experienced than you. Okay? So you, and by you I really mean it means here, want them to respect and like you. Okay? Because you lack confidence in your own abilities. Now, which means you never lay out clear expectations or guidelines for them. Okay? You again, I think you are giving them freedom from restrictions, but you are only causing them frustration and avoiding a direct conversation. It means you need to be clear of your expectation, and you need to be clear with them of their expectation also. You have to lay out their expectation or the guidelines. You have to be clear that this is your limitation. You have to be clear with them that this is what you can do, and that if that is clear from the beginning, then you can avoid some of these pitfalls later on. Number 8, ignoring accountability. What does it mean? Guess what? You're an idiot. Sorry for this. I'm not the one saying this. I'm just reading. You're not only capable of neglecting to planning a rain alternative for the kickball tournament, you're also capable of fraud, adultery, and any other number of things that will cause you to be the lead on the local news. Sure, you may not ruin everything and end up in jail, and maybe no one will ever catch you in your sin. You might get lucky and just become distant from important people in your life and live a lie. So do not ignore accountability. I don't think this is to follow the accountability partner model where you get together with someone at Starbucks and you beat each other up, but there have to be people in your life asking you hard questions and not accepting your easy answers. Well, that's normal. Number 9, trashing your predecessor. What it means: as soon as a pastor leaves, the critics are quiet and the supporters get megaphones. Okay? You're probably walking into a situation where you are immediately compared to the leader who came before you. Okay? It's natural. It is also easy at this point to blame things on him or her. Okay? Now, they aren't here to defend themselves, and maybe you are accurate in your assessment. Problems arise as soon as you open your mouth. You know what it means? You know what it means? Odds are the people on your team like the previous leader. And with their absence, the memory of them has gotten better. Not more accurate, but more positive. It is also immature, which is probably one of the critics coming your way, so don't reinforce it. Okay? So, trashing your predecessor, do not trash your predecessor. Number 9, stop learning names. What does it mean? You get embarrassed when you forget their name a month in, or you realize you never learned it in the first place. Either way, not asking is a bad idea. You should ask their names, and you should not forget their names easily. Learning names isn't about being friendly or not being friendly, but about understanding the importance of relational equity in ministry. That great idea you have won't get off the ground in the first year if you don't have support. This may feel like playing church politics because it is. Call it whatever you want, but this is how it works, okay? So you might as well build real relationships and redeem something that can be so ugly in the process. Now, stop learning names, all right? You understand what it means already in here, okay? Now, this is according to Matthew, scripture reading 5:1-13. Okay? I hope you learned something from this one as you're a new pastor. Now you can give your comment below, or you can like or subscribe to this one if you are blessed and if you are one of the pastors. Or even if you are not, then you get lessons out of it that can be applied in your life. Here is Pastoral. This is my about almost 6 years in my pastoral ministry, and this guy Josh Tandy is really correct. I experienced those things. Hope you learned from this one. Bye-bye, and have a good day.